the pre-show. I'm just waiting for confirmation.
Oh, I see it on Twitch, but not YouTube. YouTube be.
I just got notification on YouTube.
Yeah, same.
Regular YouTube. It makes me refresh. It doesn't like you on the live, like the reminder screen.
Yeah, there we are.
It doesn't go. You gotta.
The chat is ready to display messages.
All right.
All right. Yeah, it looks like we're good. Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are in the pre-show, so we're going to start at 8 o'clock, but we wanted to talk about, the situation going on over there in, I believe it was Virginia, right? We said. And I'm just going to play this video real quick, and then we're going to discuss it. I don't think we're going to have enough time, really, but...
Why? One of the police officers involved in a controversial traffic stop of a Black and Latino Army officer in December has been fired. Body camera footage shows Windsor, Virginia police officers Joe Gutierrez and Daniel Crocker pointing their guns at Army Second Lieutenant Karan Nazario before Gutierrez pepper sprays him. Lieutenant Nazario was released without being charged, and he is now suing both officers. CBS News correspondent Christine Raffini has the story.
Ma'am.
What's going on?
How many occupants are in your vehicle?
It's only myself. Why are your weapons drawn? What's going on?
The door slowly. Step out.
Get out!
Get out the car.
Get out now! I have not committed any crime.
In body camera and cell phone video, Army Second Lieutenant Karan Nazario, still in his uniform, holds his hands out the window of his new car, while two Windsor, Virginia police officers, guns drawn, order him to get out.
I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I?
Yeah, you should be. Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me, please. Get your hands off me.
You know what?
Get your hands off me. Get your hands off me. I didn't do anything. Don't do that.
Sir.
Nazario repeatedly asks why he's been pulled over before ex-officer Joe Gutierrez pepper sprays him through the open window.
Sir, just get out the car.
I'm trying to breathe. Ugh. My dog is in the back. My dog is choking right now.
Get out of the car.
Nazario is then kicked, forced to the ground, and put in handcuffs.
Why am I being treated like this? Why?
You're not cooperating.
The incident report says Nazario was pulled over for not having tags displayed on his SUV, but the temporary dealer plate is visible in the officer's body cam video. The report also said officers treated it as a high-risk stop because Nazario had tinted windows and drove at a very low speed to a gas station before pulling over, a move Gutierrez later said he understood.
As far as you not stopping and because you weren't comfortable and you wanted a well-lit spot, Lieutenant, that happens at all times.
He did everything that we are told to do for everyone's safety.
All right, there's a little bit more, but I think we got enough that we talk about it.
Yeah, man, I didn't know he had a dog in there, so maybe he'll be all right now. Because, people like dogs more than Black people in this country.
Yeah, you would have thought. Well, actually, the officer apparently who was a Hispanic too. So I mean, you if it was a white officer, you probably say, oh, they would have just stopped.
That doesn't matter when you put on a cop uniform and a badge.
Yeah. Oh, forget about it. No, I agree with you. He could have been black. The cop right there could have been black. I think it's a systematic issue, man. It's the way they're trained, the way the police culture. Is a police fraternity that culture.
That cop was training the other cop.
That's what I was wondering. So, hey, guys, let's speculate. We don't know exactly what's going on, but like Bendone just hinted, Nancy Vancher, what's going on? Much love to you.
How's it going, Nancy?
Welcome to the pre-show. So, like Bendone just hinted, and I was wondering if, with George Floyd, that's the exact same thing was happening in that situation. I think there were two rookies that were there, and it's like that senior cop who was putting his foot, he was kneeling on George Floyd. It's almost like they're showing, hey, this is how we do things. And I'm wondering if that's what's happening. Do you know that for a fact, Bendone, or that guy was getting trained? He looks very young.
There's articles out there that mentioned that he was training
the other guy.
The other officer there is there as part of a training.
He looks super young. Your mic is messing up, Bendone, but he was super young. Izzy, what you think, man? Okay, John.
Just realized I was muted. My bad. First of all, I think the fact that the guy just got fired is a joke.
Yeah.
He should have obviously been charged. And then on top of that,
Yeah.
You know, he was just now fired, even though this happened back in December, just because the video was released. So
Just
I mean,
fired.
we have to call that out for what it is, right? Like this guy would have
100%.
never been fired if it wasn't for that video being released. They had the video the whole time.
Yep.
That's how it
To the
is.
public, and now you have to fire him.
Yes, that's the thing, right? Like the union and the police, they saw this video, and if there was no camera, we probably would even never saw it. But you know, we talk about so much about patriots, and you know how everybody go crazy for Carpenter kneeling, and you know the same thing that they police brutality, and you have an officer in his uniform, an army officer in uniform, and look how they treat him. It's that he was driving very slow, especially that everything they tell you, like you want to go in, if you're not speeding, you want to go into a nice, well lit area, and no respect for an officer, for someone that put their life on the line to protect them, like nothing. And we always said this, like we know it's an issue. It's not. It has now. We know. We always say, well, the cop was white or this. No, it's across the board. Like it's like every day in America we dealing with something with the police. It doesn't matter what color skin they have. They just, like Carlito said, the minute they put some uniform and a badge, it's crazy.
Yo, much love to my man Kit, who's out there in the chat room. Much love to you, Gator. You got to tell me one of these days why you got Gator. I don't know what the emoji is about. But
Gator. Did he go to University of Florida, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Nah, he's in Chicago, but maybe he went to University.
I mean, he's in Chicago, but maybe he went to University of Florida.
And then also shout out to CMT63. Much love to you. She has been, that person's been coming back. Let me know if it's a she or a he. Has been coming back ever since I did the Jen Perlman interview. So I really appreciate you joining us. Yeah, and we're about to start the show exactly at 8 o'clock. So I'm going to have the last word on this. And I'm just going to show, I'm not going to show the video, but I'm going to show what I had in the video, what I put it in the tweet. It said, this person had a very good analysis of what we should be doing for police reform. And he said, mandatory use of body cameras, state and federal level to limit use of force, so like chokeholds, like have ban chokeholds and ban other excessive force, and then also a national database of police misconduct, which means that when police do bad things, it will be in a database, and when like this person who just got fired, he can't go to another police department and get hired somewhere else, which is usually what happens. And then the last thing he had was an independent review of officer involved shooting. And that is basically to take it out of the hands of the local, like the DA, because usually they have to work in cahoots with the cops. And for them to work together, usually the DA lets the cops off, you know, because they have such a relationship. This is saying to have a totally independent system outside of that to prosecute cops. And I totally agree with that. All right, with that said, we're going to start the show. Let me get this intro going. Boom!
Beats.
What's up, everybody? This is CaseStudyQB, and we are the Political Junkies. Welcome to the show, and I hope you joined the pre-show. We're going to be trying to do that. We're going to try to do that often, and you know, give a little bit of love to the audience and jump in early as possible. And I want to go around the horn and say what's up to my guys: Carlito, Bendone, Izzy, John. Carlito, how you doing, my man?
Yo, doing all right.
Yeah.
And yeah, before Bedon said something stupid, Atlanta FaZe did lose in the finals.
Calzone, no calzone.
But his team didn't even make it there, and they got humiliated in a historic fashion. So whatever.
Uh-oh. Bendone, how you doing, my man?
Good. Just happy to see FaZe choke.
Uh-oh. And he's talking about, so that is like Call of Duty, right? That's Call of Duty
but
teams.
FaZe didn't choke. They made it to the finals.
Okay. Izzy, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing all right, man. Just trying to stay in one piece these days. And it sounds a lot like when John B talking to me like, yo, what's going on with those Yankees in the playoffs and the Red Sox sitting at home?
Exactly.
Come on, you don't want to go there. Come on.
We don't want to go there.
Come on, man. Like the last 10 years been great. for the Red Sox Nation.
John, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just another day in America. One day I just hope to just go a week or a day with just not another shooting where we just don't have to deal with that. But that's the America of 2021.
I'm hoping that we could get some reform soon. So just to let everyone know what's ahead, we got questions. We got trivia questions. We got No Kyle Zone. Matter of fact, let me give you a little early hint at what's going on in No Kyle Zone. We're gonna be talking vaccine passports. We're gonna, maybe we'll surprise who's against it, who's for it. We're gonna ask everyone who's on the panel their opinion and your opinion. Tell me in the chat room what you think about vaccine passports when we get to that discussion. And then also, I always like to have controversial discussions, and a lot of times we hate on the Democrats, but I wanted to bring this up. So we're gonna see what everyone thinks about this. Biden and the Democrats finally executing good messaging for the infrastructure bill. Is that a thing going on? So we'll see what happens. We'll see what everyone thinks. So I want to start off the show also with some announcements. So we have Charles Booker, who is announcing his exploratory commission to run against Rand Paul, and also Nina Turner launched her website. So I'm going to show that, but I want to give some love to John and let him talk about how his boy might be running. John, speak on that for a minute.
Oh yeah, I saw it. I was kind of excited about that. As you guys know, I'm a big Charles Booker fan. Kind of think I was the first one that brought it into the chat. Kind of start reading about him. I just love how excited he gets and how he brings people out. And I'm hoping that he does run for that seat. And hopefully, Chuck and company don't block him. And hopefully there's a lot of hope, but hopefully we'll definitely bring him to the Senate. I think that would be a great win for Kentucky.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I know he's going to have he brought up his brand already from the first time he ran. And this is something that I'm thinking, like, if I talk to candidates when I interview them, I want to ask them, hey, are you going to run at least twice? Like, I think that should be a mandate for grassroots supporter. If you're going to run, have in mind that you're going to run twice. Why? Because the first time you run, you have to build up your brand, build up your infrastructure, get your super volunteers, get your donor base. And then the second time, like, you could call it the Cori Bush model. She didn't win the first time, but she won the second time. And then also I want to show Nina Turner. She got her website. For those who don't know, before it was just like a coming soon type of website, but now she got her issues page right here.
All right, first check mark, issues page.
Yeah, of course. We got to check that out. Medicare for All is there, of course. That's my litmus test, so she's got that down. But there was some controversy. I didn't even get a chance to talk to my political junkies about this, but I saw another YouTuber. He talked about how she hired 2 establishment people. Like, one used to work with, I think, Abel Klobuchar, and one used to work with another establishment to be like her press secretary. So I got to get the details on that, but I wanted to ask you guys, are you a little bit nervous because she might be hiring some staff that might be from establishment that used to work with other establishment candidates? What you guys think?
I mean, she's been around a long time, man. That's connections that she has. So I just judge on the policies, man.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, no matter how hard they come out the gate with, some of these progressive candidates, they're always probably just going to end up moving a little bit towards the center. Hopefully it's just a little bit with moves like this. Hopefully it's nothing drastic. Hopefully it's not, like what we've been seeing from AOC lately. But I mean, if someone as left as Nina Turner comes to the center a little bit because of some type of advisory that she's getting from her campaign, I don't know. We'll deal.
I think that
she does it in the job.
I think she definitely learned some lesson learned from the Bernie campaign, and I think she's taking that and applying it, and to make sure that she's not, that she's reaching all the audience possible. And because first step is to win, right? So we want to ensure we win, and you don't want to take anything for granted. Yeah. So that's my take on it. I think she learned a lot from the Bernie campaign. There's a lot of mistakes, hiccup that Bernie made, and I think she's probably trying to avoid those.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. I think that you gotta be able to build coalition. That's one thing we learned with Bernie's 2020 run, that you have to be able to build coalition. When he ran in 2016, he had his regular progressives, and then you had the people who just didn't want Hillary, who just hated Hillary. And we saw that in 2020, even in Vermont. In 2016, he won Vermont by like 70 points, which was amazing. But then in 2020, he won it by a lot less, right? So
yeah, he didn't carry Vermont like he should have.
Or like he did before. And so you have to be able to build coalitions in different parts of the sectors of the different areas, not just progressives. So I'm definitely going to have a side eye on Nina Turner. And another thing, I don't know if I said it on this show. I think I said it on when I was talking to somebody else, but something that surprised me about Nina Turner was, okay, so Stacey Abrams, I'm not a huge fan. I know that in the media she's been, given a lot of credit for Georgia and for getting more people to vote. But I remember an Intercept article by Lee Fung, and he talked about in the primaries, it was her, and then there was another, I think her name was Stacey Abrams too, or she had the same last name, but she was a white woman that she was more progressive than Stacey Abrams. But because Stacey Abrams was black, she got a lot more shine, and even like a lot of independent media did not support the other person that was more progressive, and I thought that was weird. So later on, when I saw that Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton endorsed Stacey Abrams, I thought something's wrong here. Something's kind of weird. And I found out later that, I think it was Killer Mike who was talking. He said that Nina Turner convinced Bernie to endorse Stacey Abrams.
Yeah, but the other Stacey, she wasn't a progressive either. She
Really?
was more progressive in a couple of issues from what I remember. It was like, it was the same deal. They were both pretty much corporatists in a way.
Oh, you
Stacey
think
Abrams had a history of being kind of like what you call that, ladder climbing?
Okay, exactly, yeah. And by the way, everybody, Carlito's from Georgia, so I'll definitely take his word over anything.
I'm not from Georgia.
No, you're not from Georgia, but you're living
in Georgia.
I live in Georgia. I rep the A. No love.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely.
Del patio.
So you guys know that when Carlito says something that doesn't make a lot of sense, he's drinking that Georgia water.
So basically, Nina Turner, I have my side. I have a lot of hope that she can bring some fire to the squad when she gets in there. But I'm also cautious that there's going to be letdowns, and we can't worship any politician. We just shouldn't do that, right? But go ahead, John.
But we know that. We have learned that we're never going to get the perfect politician, right?
Exactly.
And I think, I think that Nina's going to go in there. She wins. She's going to make a lot of changes, and she's not going to go and cater to Pelosi. And she's not going to go cater. She's going to try to do her coalition, but I think she's going to make some noise. And there's going to be things that she's going to do that she may agree to that we're not going to like. But we have to come to the realization that we're never going to get the perfect progressive that we all hope.
Well, I'll tell you this much. Right now, she's trying to win a seat. So I'm not going to, expect her to come out for a whole bunch of crazy, issues, because she's trying to win. So I want my priority for her is just win your seat. Do whatever you got to do. Don't drop Medicare for all, which I highly doubt she will ever do that. But just do what you got to do. Keep your head down. She got $2 million that she raised so far, so good. And then the second person that's in that's like the runner up had like $600,000. So right now Nina's really killing it. So we're gonna start getting into.
But real quick.
Go ahead, buddy.
Let's not forget that this is like a make it or break it for Nina in a way, right? Because if she's planning a 2024 run. And she doesn't win the seat, that's going to hurt her a lot, because it's going to say, well, you can't even win your own house seat. And how are you going to run for president? You know what I mean? So if she is planning that 2024 run, this is critical that she does win that seat.
Yeah, I'm wondering when the establishment knives are going to come out. We haven't seen or heard of anything recently, but I don't know if you guys heard of anything, but it's going to be interesting to see. We know it's coming. We best believe it's coming. Yeah. All right, we're going to get into the. Go ahead.
We know what the chat is on Nina. They love Nina in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's give some shout out. So yeah, CMT63 has a lot of love for Charles Booker and Nina, and also we got to shout out CMT63. They gave us a super chat earlier. Thank you for that. It was greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much.
Facts.
Yeah. So and then Holly Horn, she is saying that's it. No heroes, no sheroes, which is a valid point. We can't. We talk about Bernie all the time and propping him up and how he's falling off, and AOC might be doing the same. So yeah, I agree.
Much love to Neat too, who's in the chat, and he's on the Discord as well. So much love to you, Neat, man.
Yeah, we got the Discord. We got a fan Discord. I don't know the link. I don't know how to.
Let me see if I can get it. Let me see if I can figure this out real quick.
So if you ever want to chat with us during the week,
man. Neat. First of all, every time I see Neat, I'm thinking of what's the Florida rapper name? He's like, my name is Big Neat. Larry Hoover. That's what I keep thinking every time I see his name.
Rick Ross?
Yeah, Rick Ross. Yeah.
Oh, Rick Ross.
for the song.
Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna be.
Neat is already, giving ideas, putting some articles in there for us to look out, having discussions. So join the Discord.
And also join the Discord because we're looking into seeing how we can have people from the audience join with just your audio only. So we might be doing that through Discord. If you're interested, let us know in the chat that if you're interested in, if you want to give your take. So let's say, for example, we're talking about Nina Turner right now. I know CMT63 said, you love Nina. So if you wanted to jump in, we'll give you like 10 seconds to jump in and say something. And so join the Discord for that. We're looking into that. All right, so let's go to our first question, our first trivia question. Let me bring it up big time so everybody can see. Who said this? Richie Torres. Where we can get victories, we should be concentrating on our energies in those places. Blank said in an interview, for example, lowering the age of Medicare eligibility over getting a floor vote for Medicare for all.
Richie Torres.
Bendone.
I'll go with Bowman.
No way.
I'll say.
I would be so negatively surprised if it's Bowman.
I'm gonna say Jones.
I don't want it to be Bowman, but I'm gonna go with Bowman because Case be throwing us those curveballs.
Curveball, baby. Bendone, who you gotta pick somebody, baby.
Jones.
All right, gonna go with Jones. And so people in the chat. Okay, Nancy said Bowman. I'll keep that same energy. Yeah, baby. All right, so I'm gonna give the answer. The answer is Mondaire Jones said this, and this is from this article, Bloomberg. Ocasio-Cortez allies move to court establishment and not fight it. So this is a kind of.
I thought that was the ultimate curveball. You show three guys, and then all of a sudden the headline says Ocasio-Cortez. I'm like, wait, that wasn't even an option.
I know, right? But did she say it too?
Yeah. No, so she did. So here's what. Let me read this part. Wait. You know what? Man, I thought I had clipped out exactly what she's. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. Here we go. So this is what was said.
I don't see it. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah. It took a little while for it to come up. Apart from Wyden, the letter's signatures also include
Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont.
You know what? I don't have it here. I'm sorry, guys. I thought I clipped out the article, but basically in the article it was Ben Mondaire Jones who actually said what this says here. And the whole article is basically about the progressives and how the theme of it is progressives are kind of trying to work with the establishment more than be a Tea Party of the left. That's exactly what it's about. So, any other thing with this? Yeah, it's kind of disappointing. And to me, just to talk about this real quick, it feels like the squad came in there. They were supposed to be the Tea Party of the left. They're not. And we still waiting for like a new squad to come in there and be the Tea Party of the left. Like, do you think it's possible that can even happen?
I think it's possible, but it's never to that extent as the Tea Party. Because we said before, the Tea Party, they don't care if they burn everything down to make a point. While Democrats, they'll backpedal a little bit if it's something must pass bill or something like that. So we could get something close, but never like that. But this is I don't know. If Bowman would have said it, I would have been shocked. Like, at least he didn't say it. But still, all the talk about AOC moving little whatever, it's still disappointing regardless.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you never hear about somebody going into a progressive going into Congress and becoming more left, like going further to the left. It's always a progressive goes into office and they go to the right, even if it's an inch here or there or whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah, and this is why we always lose trust in politicians, because they run on something and they get in there and it doesn't even take them a couple months and they already like changing their minds and they forget what they ran on. And that's the reason why people put them in there.
All right. So
I think it also could be a little bit of fear too, because it could happen. Man, one of my favorite politicians was Alan Grayson.
Yeah.
Because he was a no nonsense type of guy.
Yeah.
And he even worked with Republicans in some good legislation, but him being a no, he compromised, but like a no nonsense lefty, he got, basically taken out from the middle. But the corporatists, try to get him out of a seat in Florida. So yeah, that's what happens if you go too hard.
Yeah, he's definitely a perfect case study of a progressive who was a bold progressive that he got in there and he did a lot of bold things, but nobody had his back. Like even like independent media, I saw him on TYT a couple times, but I don't think independent media, I mean, they weren't that strong back then either, but yeah, we didn't have his back. All right, we're going to go into the second question and then we're going to go to Carlito's rapid fire. So this is the next thing. 70 lawmakers support a fourth stimulus check of how much? What do you guys guess it would be? 14,000 or 2,000?
1,400.
So Carlito says 2,000. Bendone says what? A fourth stimulus.
2,000.
2,000. Izzy.
I'm gonna go with 1,400 because I don't trust these guys.
John.
1,400.
All right. So
and then they're gonna say 1,400 and they're gonna agree to 800.
You?
Hi, Gabe.
So the answer is 1,400.
Of course.
I was like, come on, guys. Like, it's almost...
There's only money for corporations. When it comes to the people, there's never money for the people.
See, the reason I said 2,000 is because that's not a huge number compared to the number of politicians in Congress.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Nancy Vance, I know you thought it was 2002, but I would have guessed 2000 if I didn't do the question myself. I would have guessed 2000 because that was what even Donald Trump. You tell me Donald Trump is more progressive than these 70 Congress people. So this is what I have something here that I want to.
Come on, man! Stop trying to give Donald Trump credit for stuff, man. He said it, but he didn't want it. He didn't call for it. He was trying to
all say 2,000.
At the end of the day, it was not the Democrats that come out with the 2,000 idea. He said it and they jump on it.
He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything about it. He backpedaled from it.
Well, Nancy and company waited for him to say something. They were giving people $600 and they were celebrating it. Oh, here you $600. You should be happy about it.
He said he was going to give us cheaper, better healthcare day one. And what happened? Anybody can say anything, man.
Yo, we know that Trump was a grifter. We know he's a con artist.
But I'm just saying, the 2,000 idea came from him as so much as things. That was his.
When he had the power to push it, he did it.
He brought it up, and
but he didn't do anything with it.
Okay, all right, let's move on.
Listen, I got an idea.
Hold on.
10,000 of everybody. That's my idea. Okay, now I'll get credit if whatever happens.
So let me just read this, John.
If the people jump on it, I guarantee you, Nancy and company will probably say, and then they would give you like 5,000.
They ain't gonna give me no credit.
All right, let me finish. I'm gonna finish this trivia I'm just gonna say who are some of the 70 lawmakers who are for it. So apart from Wyden, the letter's signatures also include Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, the chair of the Senate Budget Committee. We got Cory Booker, we got Elizabeth Warren, Sherrod Brown, Michael Bennet, Kristen Gillibrand, Alex Padilla of California. And then as of right now, Biden has not voiced support for any further stimulus checks, nor has he publicly responded to the lawmakers' letters. So, fourth stimulus check, I wouldn't hold my breath. All right, so my man Carlito's rapid fire. Let's get it.
All right, number one. Start with some Virginia love for my man John.
Yeah.
Virginia bans so-called gay and trans panic defense in murder and manslaughter trials from democracynow.org. So Virginia had become the first state in the South to ban individuals charged with killing LGBTQ people from using the so-called gay and trans panic as a defense for lesser charges or reduced sentence. The legal defense has allowed individuals accused of murder or manslaughter to argue that the victim's gender, identity, or sexual orientation was what provoked them to commit the crime. The legislation was introduced by Virginia House Delegate Danica Roem, who in 2017 became the first transgender lawmaker elected to a state legislature. Virginia making moves. I like that.
Hey, Virginia's doing its dance. I know we on the news right now with those Windsor cops not being great, but I think once they took over as a Democratic legislation, they moving stuff, and they I mean, we're not all the way where they want to be, but for what Virginia used to be 10 years ago to what Virginia is today, we're making progress.
Nice.
I agree, it's good news, but at the same time, can we talk about? I mean, now let's not get into it, but why does a law like this even need to exist? How is this not already common sense? How is this not already protected by a currently existing law or amendment or whatever? It's crazy.
It's America.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because I saw a tweet from National Treasure Michael Harriet of a video that Vermont State Senator Jeanette White, she called these so freaking ironic. Anyway, Vermont State Senator Jeanette White called this type of laws a slippery slope, because then nice white women won't be able to shoot men in motorcycle jackets because they might be part of the Hells Angels. I wish I was joking, but that's what she said.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's
All right. Number 2, first GMO mosquitoes to be released in the Florida Keys. Yes, let them be the guinea pigs. By Taylor White at undark.com. So mosquitoes, we have a love-hate relationship. They love me and I hate them. I must have sweet blood or something. I don't know what the deal. But anyway, so hey, if they're gonna get rid of mosquitoes, I'm for it. So this company called Oxitec, they created mosquitoes that have a self-limiting gene that will be passed along by males that will, in theory, make the females infertile. So that sounds great, cool. But the EPA approved Oxitec's mosquitoes to be released this spring, even though the company has not released full details of their previous experiments in places like the Cayman Islands and Brazil, including full details of whether the mosquitoes actually do curb disease transmission. So does it work? I don't know. So on top of that, they didn't do a full environmental review. So we don't know how much it will cost for full deployment, if the trial even works. Most people in the area said, hell no, when it came to approval, and et cetera, et cetera. Too many issues. So as much as I hate mosquitoes, I don't want, even Florida, I don't want them to be the guinea pigs. Sorry.
Yeah. I know for me, I'm allergic to bees. So I had a couple bees around my house, and I got rid of them. And they have the issues with the bees nowadays that we want to preserve the bees, and I know they're dying because of radio frequency or whatever they're coming up with. But I like living. So if you're a bee around my house, you gotta go.
I'm canceling you, Case. That's terrible.
5G is taking them down
No
too.
calzone.
Nah, man, we need the bees, yo. They produce our food for us.
I love the bees. I love the bees. I love the bees, just not around me.
All right, next story. How Congress screwed over minor league baseball players explained by Whitney McIntosh of SB Nation. So baseball has gotten a lot of praise for moving the All-Star game out of Georgia over the passing of racist voter suppression laws, but they are far from angels in the outfield. So I was reading something about them, recently, and I ran across this whole story. So in 2016, there was a federal class action lawsuit alleging that the MLB and its teams owe players for off-season trainings and overtime pay for extra hours during the season. So the MLB's response was to lobby for the Save America's Pastime Act, which rewrote federal law to accept baseball players from the federal minimum wage and rules around overtime pay. So the law didn't pass in 2016, but in 2018, it was quietly added to page 1,967 of a 2,232-page omnibus spending bill that needed to pass to keep the government open. The within billionaires who own baseball teams care about fairness. I think, again, they just, being overt racist just hurts their pockets. So that's the only reason for their kindness right now.
And who was What party was the house during that time?
Yeah, and this was a bipartisan bill also. It was introduced by Republican and Democrat. So when they get together, it's usually to screw us somehow. So bipartisanship is not always a good thing. It rarely is. So number 4, court rules grocery stores inaccessible website isn't an ADA violations by Timothy B. Lee, R. Stegman. So in 2019, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which covers some Western states, ruled that Domino's violate the Americans with Disabilities Act because it made their website and their app unusable by screen readers for the blind. In a recent case, the 11th Circuit Court, which curiously covers Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, came to the opposite conclusion when the Winn-Dixie grocery store chain was sued over accessibility to its website by blind customers. So this circuit split makes this case more likely to be heard by the Supreme Court if the plaintiff decides to appeal, because we have 2 different courts of appeals disagreeing. You know, they might be concerned about precedents. So, and this is very important since the internet is fast becoming integral to our daily lives. And if companies keep making online features or benefits that are only, accessible through their website or their app, then the company, they must comply with the same laws that apply to brick and mortar stores. And the retired representative, Tony Coelho, who introduced the ADA law in 1989, he agrees it should apply.
Yeah, first I read this and I was like, I don't know if this is really that big of a deal. He could still go in store and get his pharmacy, prescriptions filled and all that. But the fact that Monsanto, I'm reading the chat here. The fact that Winn-Dixie was involved in this, back in 2017, and they still never did anything about it up until now. It's not like, they're surprised by this. You had all the time in the world to just make your website screen readable. Is that really that big of a deal to fight, in the Supreme Court about it? Just make it screen readable. That's it, done.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Especially when you have companies that are doing features that are online only. So already that's some kind of discrimination right there. They can't access it.
Yep.
So next story, some more good news.
Sorry.
New Mexico ends qualified immunity by Jordan Williams at thehill.com. So Democratic Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham signed the New Mexico Civil Rights Act, which ends the use of qualified immunity as a defense for depriving a person of their civil rights. And this not only applies to police officers like in New York and Colorado, it applies to all public bodies. That's how it should be.
But do we know of like cases against other public officials that are not cops that really benefit from qualified immunity?
I can't think of the top of my head, but I could imagine if it was a case where there's some kind of, let's say, a company pays off a politician to pass a law that will let them dump sewage in your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm not against it. I was just curious. It's not something I've heard of before. I'm totally for what they're doing though.
Yeah. So, last rapid or not so rapid story. America may be close to hitting a vaccine wall by Caitlin Owens at Axios. So an analysis released by Sorjo Ventures concluded that the supply-demand shift for the vaccine will happen earlier than expected, as early as the end of April, and before the nation reaches the 70 to 90% threshold for achieving herd immunity. This means that everyone who wants the vaccine will get it, but there are too many people who don't want it. And the most vaccine reluctant Americans are white Republicans. And of course, red states in the South lead the way in their reluctance. Lagging behind is Alabama, who has administered the smallest amount of vaccines, only 61.4% of its doses. And although there is a partisan divide in urban and suburban areas, the redder the area, the more they don't want the vaccine. A separate survey of rural Americans released by KFF found that among rural residents who said they definitely won't get vaccinated, almost 3/4 were Republicans or Republican leaning, and 41% were white evangelical Christians. So I don't know what God said about helping others or whatever, but I'm sure this ain't it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if we're ever going to get rid of this virus with the way this rollout is going.
Yeah, I heard Canada is actually going backwards while America's catching up. Like they're having horrible responses. Like
And
if
we got a
anybody,
lot of variants popping up.
yeah, we could go right into the first no count zone off of this. I believe this is the last story, right, Carlito?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we could go into vaccine passports. So, as for people who don't know, no count zone means we're not canceling each other. We're gonna give our opinion, have our opinion. We'll see if we could convince other people. But if you can't, agree to disagree, and we move on.
No
So,
cancel zone.
so exactly. Let me go. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first since I just read the story and I was thinking about it because I'm currently trying to decide what to do about my kids and going to school virtual or full, online. I mean, virtual or in person full time. And, I can't control what other people do as far as other parents getting infected, bringing it into the classroom, then the kids bringing it to my house, stuff like that. So I started my first reaction towards like the vaccine passport was like, nah, because I'm sure there's a million ways this could go wrong. And the ACLU said so, and they didn't say it's automatically like a no-go, but they mentioned like, yeah, they could be, it could go wrong in a lot of ways and create some kind of two-tier system, some kind of class system. But then I was thinking, we already got vaccination cards for kids before even going into school. So as long as it is limited, maybe I'm okay with it. I just don't want to have a passport in order to just like go to the grocery store or something.
Yeah. Bendo, what you think?
I was gonna say, I think it was CMT on the chat was saying we already have the real IDs, right? In order coming up these upcoming years, in order for you to travel, adding an extra star or
Is that Bendone? Is that a official real ID? It's not implemented yet, but it's coming, or is it?
It's implemented.
They delayed it because of COVID, but it's supposed to happen by last October. But if you want to travel with your driver's license, you need to have that star and your real ID.
And is it a federal thing or is it a state?
It's depending on which states are applying, but it's a federal mandate.
Yeah, I remember that real ID thing from when I was a Ron Paul supporter back in like 2007, 2008, and there was such fear mongering around it that like it's like it'll be like your papers, please. If you wanted to travel within the states, you got to have this real ID, and the cops could just ask you like, where's your real ID? So that's interesting.
Here's my thing. I think that, like I was thinking about it, and like when Carlito brought that article, and I think that states like Alabama, Mississippi, all those red states that are like, oh, screw this, I'm not doing it. I think if they want to go outside their states and visit, they need to have some type of thing that says, I took it. Because if they don't care, and you have a Virginia or a Connecticut, New York, California, something doing everything they can to protect their citizen, and you have all these other states that just don't give a crap about it, then if they want to leave their states, they need to provide some type of documentation that they are vaccinated.
So how does that look like, John? They're gonna have checkpoints coming into the state?
You're gonna have to figure out a way, like by plane, or if they get pulled over and they want to take that chance, they could ask them. But it's just again, like, we get it. Like, people always talk about like, oh, it's my right, and use religions against it or whatever. And a lot of people still think it's a hoax. A lot of people think it's fake. They don't believe on it. But for those states that are trying their best to stop it and bring it down, like, all it takes is just a few people to come over and visit and spread it.
Izzy, what you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have to agree. I feel like if we tried to do it, it would cause massive havoc and chaos across this country just because of all the red crazies that we have out there. But I agree with John. I mean, if you are running a state and you're trying to keep your people safe, you have to have something like this. But I mean, these people, they don't even want to wear masks. You think we're going to get them to get, vaccine cards before they can board a plane or something? And imagine all the chaos that's going to cause by these right-wing idiots who just don't even believe the virus exists. They're going to talk about First Amendment rights and blah, 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 all this nonsense. And I'm not saying it's going to incite a civil war, but it's going to be messy. I don't see any way you get this passed without massive chaos across the country.
Yes. For that game support policies, not politicians. He said the administration, they already said they wouldn't mandate a vaccine passport. I'm fine with it, but at the same time, we used to have vaccines or some kind of immunization proof to travel for international travel to some countries before. We have, like I mentioned, for school. There was I don't know if you got that meme case for military. We got to take like 47 vaccines for boot camp to get into boot camp.
Yeah.
There's still like a 40% refusal rate in the Marines and not taking it, even though they like are required to take all those to even get in there. So it's kind of crazy, man. I mean, but it's already been done, been around. There's different ways that it could be done. One of the things they, if you wanted to do it on a wider scale, they said that it must be open source. You must have paper, not just be like a app on your phone, because then, what about people who don't have phones or older people that, they're not, tech savvy or whatever. So they can't discriminate that way. So it must have like a paper. So, and there's already an infrastructure kind of for that with the vaccinations, the immunizations right now. And that's in a paper card. So it could be done, but there's too much ignorance out there, even with the mask, to even consider a passport idea.
Well, I just think like then it's going to live up to the states, because there's other countries that are saying in order for you to come to our country, you need to be vaccinated, and they're going to require it, right? So if I was a governor of a state, I would say if you are coming from this state and you're going to come by plane or you're going to come by car and you do get pulled over and you don't have that card and you don't have that passport, then have the state, because Biden administration said they would not mandate it. But again, like you're a governor trying to, you put all these restrictions and regulations, and you have those other states that just don't care. So the first thing, people from Texas, if you get your vaccine, you can visit my state. If not, sorry.
So here's my problem, John. So I'm not really enthusiastic about a vaccine passport because, that's why I asked, how do we implement it? And we know that the people who get abused from these kind of situations are minorities, so who do cops pull over most of the time? There was that study that showed at nighttime, white and minorities and black people get pulled over at the same rate, but then during the day, black people get pulled over more. So now cops are going to be pulling over black people and asking them for their vaccine passport, and it's going to be minorities who are the most skeptical, or I don't want to say the most skeptical, but there are a lot of people who, have the Tuskegee experiment in mind, and they're not going to be they're not going to be vaccinated. And now we're putting them people in, that's the next thing. What do we do with them if they're not vaccinated? Are they going to get kicked out of the state? Are they going to go to jail?
No, but I'm talking about when you're visiting, when you cross state, when you're doing cross state line. So
yeah.
And if I'm going from Virginia to Connecticut, and Connecticut requires to have the vaccine to come to their state from somebody in Virginia, and I want to take that chance, that's on me, right? Because
but John, what happens to you then? If you don't have your vaccine passport and you go to that state and they found that you don't have it, what happens to you? You go to jail?
That would be the next. I don't know if you get a fine or how they want to do it, but it's got to be, if Connecticut is trying to protect their citizens and Virginia is not.
I hear that point. No, I hear that point.
So you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we also got to take some responsibility too, right? Like you can't say we know that, cops target, minority. So if I'm a minority and I'm going across state lines, especially knowing that state, I'm not going to take that chance because I know my chances are higher to get pulled over.
Yeah. So my last point,
but I mean,
and Carlito, my last point, then we're going to move on. I'll let you say your point, then we'll move on. Is so with the airport, I'm really worried also about all the different policies that are still here with this. So from 9/11, you know, the shoe bomber. People still taking off their shoes at the airport. Still have super duper crazy TSA scrutiny, as CMT talked about, because of 9/11. Now, of course, 9/11 was a big deal. I think we need to find better, more efficient ways. That's all. Go ahead, Carly.
Yeah, so I don't think it has to be that extreme. You know, that's why I can mention just the vaccination cards. If something like going to school, I believe Cornell, Brown, there's a few colleges that are requiring it, a vaccination to go back on campus right now. So you know, some people could say that, well, if it's a private company that requires it, then you know that's their thing. But you don't have to make it so it could be like to cross state lines. I don't think it should be necessary for that. But one thing that in a poll survey that I saw was the one thing that will make people want to do it, like the people that are skeptical now, the Republicans, a lot of them, is travel. Like if they needed to go travel to get on an airplane, that'll make them do it. Other than that, there's not much that they want to do it. But the reasons for not getting it, they make no damn sense though.
But I'm telling you, all these people, they're not leaving the United States because a lot of the countries, they don't want Americans. If you don't have your vaccination, they don't want you there. So
yeah. So another thing that I saw while I was looking into this was it's something kind of happened already for the yellow fever in New Orleans. People that if you got it already, you were immune after that. So it made like a 2-tier system of people that already had it and they're now immune versus people didn't have it, to the point that some people actually, even though it's a 50-50 chance that you're going to die, they were going out to get it. They were trying to inject other people's blood into themselves. Oh, wow. And believe it or not, they try to use racism into this by justifying slavery somehow by saying that the African blood was already immune, so you could have more slaves or something. So they're using slavery by saying that the African blood is more superior. Like I was like, man, they'll use anything, man.
That's crazy, yeah. So all right, let's move on to the next trivia question. And I just want to give a shout out to Rafael Rodriguez in the chat. Much love. So, true or false, did the New York Times call Andrew Yang a progressive or a moderate?
How's that true or false?
Well, true, they call him a progressive.
No, actually, well, I won't. My answer, I know that they call him a moderate.
Okay, you got it. Yeah. All right, so that wasn't a true or false. You got erase. I erased your memory.
Curveball alert.
But yeah. So okay, I guess yeah, that's the correct answer. Moderate. And here it is. So sense of disappointment of the left as the New York City mayor's race unfolds, even as New York has veered towards the left, two more moderate candidates, Andrew Yang and Eric Adams, lead the mayoral race. Now, I wanted to bring this up. I want to even let's have a little mini discussion about this, because I've always been skeptical of this man named Andrew Yang. Is there anybody else on the panel?
But he is the moderate though.
But people think he's a progressive. Thank you. People thought that he was with Bernie on his side. Go ahead, Izzy.
He's a moderate.
Go ahead, Izzy.
Yeah, I read this article, and it's. I mean, I was kind of surprised that the New York Times wrote it, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, you have two moderate candidates that are vying for the top. Obviously, the ones with the most money. I mean, they tried to call out Scott Stringer, and I forget. I'm already forgetting the other woman's name, unfortunately, who were supposed to be the lead progressives. They give one little tiny little line to Diane Morales, who is the true progressive in the race, and who progressives need to be behind and give all their votes behind. And then the rest of the article, I mean, I give them a little bit of credit. They were basically calling out Yang, for being I mean, he's a corporatist essentially.
Yeah. 100%.
So it's so funny that the article is talking about how moderate they are, but they don't bother to talk about the progressive to make a contrast.
Exactly. I think Diane Morales was mentioned in one little line, maybe two.
This is a part of the article. So I have this slide and one more slide that I want to read that was from the article. It says the mayoral field still reflects the leftward shift of many Democrats in the city, with many voters just beginning to tune into the race. Scott Stringer and Maya Wiley. Maya Wiley, IOC or MSNBC. Two of the most progressive candidates in the race. Oh, come on now, they said two of the most. Wow. Anyway, are generally discussed as part of the field's top tier, with the expected resources to be competitive through the end and perhaps to break out in a meaningful way. Diane, and here's the one throwaway line that Izzy was talking about. Diane Morales, a former nonprofit executive, has undeniable captured real grassroots energy. So wow, that's the surprise that Izzy was talking about, that they at least got that right.
Yeah, they did say later on in the article that she is the most progressive candidate in the race, but they spent more time talking about Stringer. Oh, and Maya Wiley, that was the other one's name.
Yeah.
Than they did Diane Morales, when the whole article is talking about how New York City is a progressive city and we want more progressive candidates.
Yeah. I think. Go ahead, Carlito.
I was saying that line right there that made me shake my head was about having the resources. So again, it's like, who has the money to run?
Yep. Yeah. They have this nice thing in New York though, that if for every dollar that you give, you get 7 public dollars. So it is a multiplier effect that kind of helps grassroots supporters. I commend New York for doing that, and I think they should have more. So here's an excerpt that talks about the left organizations. That emerged as a significant concern at a private meeting on Wednesday of representatives from several prominent left-wing organizations, including Our City, Democratic Socialists of America, Sunrise, I think they mean Sunrise Movement, and other groups. According to two people familiar with the meeting, a consensus emerged that the left need to mobilize urgently around the city election, according to one of those people. So what you think, Izzy? Izzy's our New Yorker here. What do you think about the leftists? And we also have ranked choice voting for the mayor race, so that's something else.
Yeah, definitely a plus. So, nobody has to feel like they have to, give their vote to, the establishment candidate. It's like you've talked about before, Case, though, in the past, we are going to have to rally. We're going to have to pick a progressive to rally around.
Yeah.
If we're going to pick a progressive, we might as well pick the progressive, because there's really only one real progressive in the race. And hopefully all, progressive New Yorkers are really going to be able to rally around Diane. And she'll be able to get some support from other candidates. Support policies, not politicians, said Menchaca should get behind Morales. I completely agree. He dropped out of the race. He didn't even, I think I mentioned this on the show. He never even had an issues page or anything. So yeah, maybe a progressive, but not doing the right job. And that Cynthia Nixon also endorsed. So yeah, I mean, if we could get more, backing behind Morales, hopefully we can at least prop her up so that she gets a lot of those first ballot votes and see what happens from there.
That's her right there, Diane Morales. Yeah, she was out there with the Staten Island. They had a protest for Amazon unionization, and she was one of the people there that was with Chris Smalls, and Status Quo was covering it. So she's a real grassroots progressive. That's the person we should be supporting. That's another question I want to ask you, Izzy. What do you think about the fact that, AOC hasn't already jumped on? We know that it doesn't take us a genius to know that Diane Morales is the progressive. You got Working Families Party. You got, I don't know if there's an Our Revolution over there in New York, but all the other organizations that I just mentioned, they should be behind Diane like today.
Yeah, I really don't know what's going on with that. And, it really is getting harder and harder to defend AOC. I'm not going to cancel her, but it is getting harder and harder. I agree with you. There's no reason why she shouldn't have already endorsed by now. It's very clear who the progressive candidate is in this race. And who are you hurting by not, what are you worried about Scott Stringer being your ally? You know what? I don't get what the plan is here. Just get behind the progressive candidate. You're in New York. You're from New York. I agree. What are you waiting for?
She's on the way to the 11th hour.
You brought up a good point, Izzy. You brought up a good point. Scott, if I was going to, I'm going to make a prediction right here. I might be wrong. You could bring this clip up if I'm wrong again. But Scott Stringer, I think, is going to be the progressive person that everybody's going to get around. Why? Because he already has support. Jamal Bowman already endorsed him. And I think it's because he endorsed Jamal. He endorsed Jamal first before he even got into office. So it's like a kind of quick quote pro.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah. But Jamal Bowman already endorsed Scott Stringer. And the only memory I have of Scott Stringer is the fact that he's the current comptroller, and he went up against Elliot Spitzer, and he like tore him up in the debates. That's all I remember. He said he did sex trafficking or human trafficking, and because he had this prostitution scandal, but he went after him. And other than that, I don't see what's progressive about him. Maybe because he endorsed Jamal Bowman first. I don't know.
Nah, that's I don't know. That's a terrible move by Bowman if that's the case. Yeah, he's our current comptroller, and yeah, okay, he ran against Spitzer, and he's a little bit left of most centrist candidates. But I mean, come on, when you have a Diane Morales in the race, you cannot be Jamal Bowman endorsing Stringer. That's terrible.
Yeah, 100%.
So CMT 63, another super chat. He said we need to cover Wolfpack. I don't know, Izzy, have you heard anything about Wolfpack over there? I know I'm a fan in general of Wolfpack, but I don't know what they're doing in New York.
No, honestly, I'm not sure either. Sadly, I can't speak to that.
Yeah. Wolfpack was started by for the Schenk Uger. I don't know who else. But basically, one of the things they're trying to do is constitutional convention to get money out of politics, and to me, that's the number one issue. So I'm actually a supporter of Wolfpack, even here in Georgia. I'm not too involved, but I send them some coin every once in a minute.
Yeah, agree. I mean, I don't know if they have any involvement in New York. CMT 63, if you want to send another message about what you meant, but yeah, I'm not sure, if that's related to the New York race or not.
Yeah, another thing CMT 63 was about Yan, that his position on UBI is progressive, but he's a straight up capitalist. That's the thing about him that actually turned me off. His position on UBI was not progressive, because in exchange for the money for UBI, he wanted to take away some of the social safety net that already exists. So it wasn't just a UBI, it was like I give you from here in exchange for taking away from over there. So I didn't like it.
Yeah, thanks again for the super chat, CMT 63. And Izzy, I want to talk to you about what support policies now people just put out. I think it's because he endorsed them. So like I said before, he did, Scott Stringer did endorse Jamal Bowman, and that is taking a risk because he's a challenger. Do you think it was right for Jamal Bowman to return the favor? What do you think?
Hell no, absolutely not. At the very least, you just stay out of it. If that's, if you really feel like, all right, thank you, Scott, you really helped me with, getting my seat. Okay, fine. Then you don't endorse anybody.
But his endorsement really helped him? Did their endorsement?
I don't know. I mean, Stringer was a name. He is a name in New York. I mean, okay, he's the comptroller. How many people really know who their comptroller is?
I mean, is he like some kind of is he not like, what's so bad about Stringer? I don't know.
As far as I'm aware, it's really hard to even know, because he doesn't. Last I checked, I don't think I remember seeing like much of an issues page when I was doing my mail research. You don't learn a lot about a comptroller when they're running for comptroller. I just know that he is a little bit left of center, and that's how even the NYT describes him. And, I just know he's not Diane's Morales. I know he hasn't been working for nonprofits his whole life and fighting for the actual people of New York and fighting for housing rights. And I know he's not that. So that's what I'm saying. When you have a better candidate in the race and you're Jamal Bowman, I think him endorsing Stringer is a huge no. Just stay out of it if you really don't want to cause any or create any what do you call it? I can't even think of the word.
Yeah, so he should have just put Elizabeth Warren, right?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, if he's really worried about it, then just stay out of it.
Yeah. All right, that's a good discussion.
Alan, I see you, son. I see you. Yeah. Saying he's about to say the same thing about the fake UBI.
All right.
And he also said left of center isn't terrible, and I agree with you. But again, when you have a better candidate in the race, that's the big thing. Diane is the better candidate for sure.
100%. I agree with that. All right. So let's go on to this next question. Who revealed the trust busting for the 21st Century Act? And this is like an anti-monopoly act. And look who got here. I got all Republicans. So this is a little
Ted Cruz.
I go with Holly.
Holly, Ted Cruz, Izzy.
I'm gonna go with Holly because it's the only one that even halfway makes sense.
Okay.
Cruz.
Bendone.
Cruz is his niche.
Even though, Marco Rubio has been trying to, be a little populist. He spoke out against the Amazon unionization thing, but
they're all clowns.
Yeah, he's a clown.
Rubio's a clown, dude.
So the answer was, it was Josh Hawley, and he here's a couple of points from the act that he's trying to promote. It bans mergers and acquisitions by firms with a market cap over 100 billion, lowers the threshold for prosecution under existing federal anti-laws, required companies that lose federal antitrust lawsuit to forfeit all their profits resulting from monopolistic conduct, and the last, give the Federal Trade Commission new power to designate and regulate dominant digital firms in different online. So that's Facebook.
There you go. There you go. That digital part right there says it all. It's Holly. It's gotta be Holly.
And this is the last question, and we're gonna go to our last no call.
Who was it? Who was it?
It was Holly.
It was Holly. Yeah, it was Josh Holly.
Carlito, stop drinking that Georgia water.
I was trying to read the chat. I'm trying to read the chat, but you guys read the chat no love.
Yeah.
So,
but you know,
so
I'm just
chat.
Hold on, Carlito. Hold on 1 second. 1 second, baby. I'm just gonna do this last, get rid of this last trivia, because we know this guy. We know this guy, right? We know this guy. All right. Go ahead, Carlito.
I was just gonna say to CMT53, he said he sent a link, but it didn't show up. It probably got filtered out. So put it again without the .com or something.
Okay. Any other love to the chat? Any other love?
Let's see. What does it say? Rafael Rodriguez said all of them. Holly Horn said Morales was good. Alan said he just being the true progressive in quotes will make her and her platform targets for her political and corporate enemies to fearmonger about, kind of like AOC and the rest of the squad. Let's see. It's TMT. Instead of trying to say that people are generally speaking good or bad, we need to ask what makes them the way they are. Man, that's deep. I don't know. That's deep. I don't know how we're gonna get that. Those kind of good answers out of people.
All right. Let's go to the last no cow zone, and then we're going to give the chat love, and then we're going to be out of here. But it's 8:59, so it looks like we're going into overtime, baby. Everybody's good with overtime? OT, baby. So this is going to be an interesting discussion here, I think. Okay, are Biden and the Democrats finally executing good messaging for the infrastructure bill, and also saying the bill has bipartisan support from Republican voters? So I've, you know, you guys, I'm CaseStudyQB, so I'm always watching mainstream media, and I'm very surprised by the fact that, you know, Bernie's out there talking about human infrastructure, not only infrastructure about, you know, building bridges and the traditional infrastructure, but we have Bernie out there talking about human infrastructure, and guess who else? Nancy Pelosi is talking about human infrastructure. And what do I mean by human infrastructure? That means they want to put money into housing. They want to put money into childcare. They want to put money into healthcare. So the fact that all the Democrats are on board with this seems really Republican. Like they would come up with some kind of scheme to try to sell it to the American people. But this is the Democrats doing this. What you guys think?
You've actually like actively seen them on MSNBC and all that.
Yeah,
you know, talking about it.
I should have tried to. I'll see if I could find a clip from Nancy. Was the latest clip that I saw that she was talking about this human infrastructure. But yeah, they're talking about it.
The fact that Nancy's talking about it gets me concerned, because they're just going to come in. Republicans going to find out a way to block it, even if they don't have the power to block it.
Yeah. I don't know how serious she is, but you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if Nancy's talking about it, I'm concerned.
I'm not concerned because I know, first of all, to begin with, it's not as big as it should be. But them saying giving some money to all the things they mentioned, I think they will, and I think they will support that because it's not enough. They're willing to give us the crumbs. There's always been the Democratic way. They'll give us something while the Republicans give us nothing. That way they look like the lesser evil and we go for them. So yeah, they're going to give us something. I don't doubt it. It's just not going to be enough. Like when they talk about healthcare, they'll talk about, you know, like making the ACA stronger instead of giving us Medicare for all, things like that.
Yeah. So let me play this video real quick. This is not Nancy, but this is Debbie Dingle talking about it.
All hang together and move. Briefly, let's talk about the infrastructure package that we're going to turn focus to this week. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's margin in the House is incredibly narrow. Are you confident that Democrats can all hang together and move forward on this package before the August recess deadline that you've set?
Look, I think if you're out there and you're talking to the American people, there's a real demand and approval for a lot of what's in this package. And it's Republicans and Democrats fixing, if you're from Michigan, the damn roads, the bridges, broadband. The COVID has shined a light on our students, both in urban areas and rural areas, not able to study because they don't have broadband access. Michigan's a state that understands it, but it's a problem across the country that water still has lead in it because of the need to replace pipelines. And quite frankly, I think we're going to have some good, thoughtful discussions. We got to, by the way, also get the electric vehicle infrastructure into place, a lot of things like that. But I'm going to be one of the key players. I care very deeply about this. We have to have discussions about what is infrastructure. It's a foundation. It's the framework by which a community and society operate. Caregiving has become a major problem. Look at the women that have had to leave the workforce. I am going to be one of the leaders on the long-term care. It is broken. We're one of the only industrialized nations that has not addressed it, and it's a competitive issue for us as well.
So you guys see right there, they're really trying to frame other issues that's not traditional infrastructure and put it into this bill. We'll see what the final product is, because of course Biden quote unquote said he wanted $15 minimum wage, but they didn't put it in the COVID bill. So who knows what the true intention is, but what you guys think?
Yeah, that's one of the things that Republicans were already complaining about. Like all these things, that's not infrastructure. For them, if it's not like a bridge or a road, it doesn't count. But you know, things like they should support that are obviously infrastructure are like the charging stations, you know, to build that electric grid to help that, and then we can have more electric vehicles, stuff like that. It's definitely infrastructure, but even that they're against because it's not a road or a bridge. But I also want to say real quick, support politicians and politics said love the dingle, and I just died inside. I was just dying laughing, and partly it's because I don't know. Before I seen the face, like sometimes I read the names. And her husband, Dingle, because she took over her husband's seat.
Yeah, she
was, you know, he was in there for like millennia. It seems like forever. I thought it was a black guy.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah.
Nah, he was white. Definitely, he was a white guy. But I gotta give credit to Dingle. She's also one of the co-chairs, I believe, the co-chair of the Medicare for All caucus. But she's a big supporter of Medicare for All, just like her husband was when he was in Congress. And yeah, so that's another question I want to bring up. If we'll see what the final result of this infrastructure bill is, but if it does include this quote-unquote human infrastructure things, can we finally say that we move Biden a little bit to the left on not foreign policy, but at least on domestic on this issue? What you guys think?
Is that after or before he gave all the military that money?
Nah, 100%. I agree with you. But I'm saying in this one little area.
I mean, okay, we'll give him like a little tennis clap, I guess. I don't know. Like, how much does the guy really deserve, you know?
We'll find out what happens, but you know, we'll see. I know I saw an article also where it was talking about how Bernie is his healthcare plan is trying to bring down Medicare for All eligibility down to 60 or 55, while Nancy Pelosi is just trying like bolster up the ACA. You know, and that's really all you're doing is throw away money to health insurance industry. So we'll see what happens there as well.
Carlito, real quick, you were talking about support policies and not politicians. Zinger. I think the funniest thing so far in this chat, Gabe was talking about how he's living the van life right now, and our boy Big Knee was like, "Oh, when you starting OnlyVans." I thought that was so that I was literally dying. I was like, wait, make sure I'm on mute, and then I started busting out laughing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then Gay spelled it wrong.
So the second part of this No Calzone, and we'll just have fun with the chat and we'll end the show. So I put also saying the bill has bipartisan support from Republican voters. So I've been watching this a lot, right? And for example, you have Chris Christie on ABC News who's saying, and a lot of Republicans who are in, you know, the establishment, who are in Congress, they're saying, oh, Biden said he was going to unite the country and he's not working with us. He's not working with the Republicans to try to get us on board. And they're all trying to do this reconciliation, which is only 51 votes, which is only the Democrats. They're not. So the response to that from the Democrats is, oh, we are bipartisan because we have the voters who are, all our policies are very popular with both Republicans and Democrats. So what you guys think about that side of the messaging as well?
It could be better. Like whenever they're on stage or on a show, they should come out with it. You know, somebody says that, well, this poll, 75% say this, 95% say that.
Yeah.
Even 70% of Republicans agree with us. So I don't know who you're supporting, but it's obviously not the people. So get lost.
Yeah. I mean, personally, if it was me, and then I'll go to you, John. If it was me out from the insurrectionists from January 6th, if I was the leader, if I was Biden, and I would have talked to Nancy Pelosi, who's the other leader of, I'll talk to Chuck Schumer, say, hey, from now on, we're going to refer to the Republicans as the insurrectionist party. We do not deal with insurrectionists until, what's his name, Mitch McConnell, punishes the people who voted against me. That's when we might work with them. But until then, we're not going to work with them, period. That would have been me.
I agree. And, we're talking about, like bringing up polling as a way to promote your message. Yeah. I would love to see these MSM interviewers to be like, okay, so what about the polling of Medicare for All, which is also 60 to 70%? Do you support that? Because, I mean, you have, honestly, I mean, you have support across the board there. Why is that not being pushed too? So, I mean, if I'm what's the guy's name that you've been showing the clips of lately that's been interviewing Bernie Hard from the left?
Oh, Mehdi Hassan.
Yeah. If I'm him, those are the kind of questions I'm asking.
Yeah. He asked even Fauci he's been asking some tough questions. I gotta give him credit.
He would ask that. I don't know about the other people, but he would.
Definitely not Chris
Hayes. He needs to ask it, and we can help make it viral.
Yeah. Not Chris Hayes.
If I'm the Democrats, again, we talked about this in the previous show.
Yeah.
I would just say, like, look, it's them, the Republicans go out there and they crying wolf and they're saying we're not working with them. But here's the reason why we're not working with them. That $1,400 check that you received, they all voted against it. And then just keep moving. And we're not going to vote. We're not going to work with people that are not going to give people, even if it's like whatever, but at least that's what people are going to remember. And that's the messages they have to drive home.
100%. All right, let's give some love to the chat. And then I want to show you guys one last thing. I just did an interview with Ben Fieldman and Filderman. I called him the grassroots version of our revolution because he created this spreadsheet of all these, like a very comprehensive spreadsheet of all these different districts. And he has like potential progressives who are running here, the challengers. He has different tabs. He shows the people who are challenging those people in those districts, and then he shows the people who are vulnerable. It's a very comprehensive spreadsheet, and I thought I'm gonna throw it in the chat, and I would love for everyone in the audience to check this out. It had Henry Collier, it had Kurt Schrader, the guy that I just showed. He's on here. He's on here. So the guy, it was a very interesting interview, and I'm hoping that he's going to help me out a little bit with my People's Gauntlet idea, and going to do some things. So, all right, let's give the chat room some love. Alan Amberster, our man, Neat, thank you for coming out in the chat. Holly Horn, CMT63. Anybody else? Go ahead, my political junkies, if you want to shout out anybody.
Gabe, what up, Gabe?
Gabe is in the chat
with his low internet chiming in. Thank you, Gabe, for supporting in the chat.
We miss you.
Gabe, when the infrastructure bill goes through, you can get broadband.
We miss you, Gabe.
He's going to get the Elon Musk satellite thing and put it on top of the van.
That's not a bad idea either.
Yo, that's actually a pretty smart idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Nancy Venture, of course. Robert Wilson, he had to go because he had a new shift at his job, but he's going to check us out later. Kit Cabello, always a supporter, friend of the show.
Yeah.
Love his show. Check him out on his channel, Heartlands Media.
Support policies, not politicians.
Yeah, much love to you. I know I always see that person on Twitter.
Boy, Rafael Rodriguez was chiming in today. I don't know if we said Holly Horn already. Nancy Venture, if we said already.
Rafael Rodriguez.
A lot of good chatting today.
Lots of good chatting. All right, so thank you so much, everybody. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. And of course, you are a part of the Political Junkies as well. And much love to you. Any last words for my guys, Carlito, Bendon, Izzy, John? Last
one last thing, one thing that CMT was talking about, how young people talking about our age in the future. One thing that all progressives have that I think is missing a lot is empathy. That we don't just think about ourselves, we think about others, and that's one thing that I think is missing a lot in the country, and it's missing a lot as it's shown in the vaccine thing, because people could get the vaccine to protect others that are vulnerable, that can't even get the vaccine themselves. So, I think we need more empathy, and a lot of these problems that we have, and it wouldn't be a problem.
100%.
Yeah, one last thing. Easy, help me out here. What was the name of that show? I think everybody should watch. I think we're going to talk about it in the future.
Yes. 14th, I think, or something amendment. Damn, on Netflix, the one that stars Will Smith. Good reminder. Everyone should definitely check that out. It's a multi-series show that talks about the 14th Amendment, and it really goes into good detail about the history of it all, how it's affecting us today, the key players, specifically Black people in this country that help make, these rights what they are today, even though we can't freaking get people to follow them. And it's just really well done. Lots of actors involved. The whole show is just really well done. So I highly recommend everyone check it out.
Amend.
Amend. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I thought it was going to be a little corny at first, but I've already watched the first 2 episodes and I'm really enjoying it. So, and we may chat about it in the future on the show. So make sure you all check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely check it out. Nancy Venture, thanks for being a Patreon. And I'm going to show this last graphic that's going to have your name and our 2 Patreons right now. But yeah, thank you, everybody.
Hey, slowly but surely, we'll get there.
Slowly but surely growing. Much
really
love.
Appreciate all the support.
Love the support.
Rafael said, exterminate all the brutes on HBO Max.
Let's check it out.
Okay.
A Fight for America. That's the show on Netflix.
Yeah, we gotta check it out. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Adios. Boom. And I'm just gonna show this last slide. Boom. Also, thanks to our Patreon members, Pedro Hernandez, Nancy Venture. Nancy, you spelled your name Nancie.
Productions on the track.
Trying to throw you a curveball.
She's trying to figure out what is it when you used to say Maya?
Oh yeah.
It's the same way.
I wonder if Mia's still around. Mia, where you at? All right.
Mia's around.
Yeah. Much love, everybody. Adios.